Black people, we are everywhere in this world. And unfortunately, the conception of us is pretty much the same worldwide. Just like on YouTube, to give your brain some new food. Hello people, and welcome back to the channel. If this is your first time on the channel, a special welcome to you. I ask that you check out the rest of my videos. If you like what you see, give them a thumbs up, leave a comment, but more than anything, I'm asking that you subscribe to the channel. Today's video is titled Misplaced Black People. And what I mean by that is because of the tension that's going on in the world. I mean, racism has always been a thing. Racism always exists. It's always been that infection that's been decay among the human race that we seem to can't get a antibacterial remedy for it, or we seem to can't get an antidote, or maybe we just love it. Either way, it's always been around, and it's always been a distasteful subject. It's always been a distasteful reality. But the truth is, it's a pandemic. It's always been a pandemic. It's a global infection. It's a global problem for most of us. For some people, it's all right. But because of that, and because of the George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks incidents, which I've recently highlighted the buffet of racial tension in the world, or racial divide in the world, I have not quite digested it yet, you know. And recently I had to put all of my white colleagues and white friends on a timeout. And when I say that, what I mean is I have no real prejudice or sudden dislike for my white counterparts, but it seems as if my race is going through a thing at the moment that white people can't quite relate to, or my white friends or my white colleagues can't quite relate to. And for that reason, I have to say to my white friends, not now, not now. I need to wrap this around my head, because if you can't relate to the struggles of what my people are going through or facing on a daily basis, then I can't see why we should or could have a conversation. Obviously, I can explain the problem to you. I can explain the situation to you. But I believe that no matter how much I explain or try to relate Black experience to you, because it's not a personal experience that's affecting you, my white friend, it is still not going to be as relatable to you as I would like it to be. So prior to this uproar of racial tension and racial vibes in the world, Black people to me were just people. But after the highlights of the George Floyd and Rayshard Brooks and all the Black Lives Matter uproar in the United States of America and the global reaction, I must say, it has increased a deeper thinking for me, which has forced me to even look deeper into racial divide where I live and globally, where other Black people live, where I never thought racism could possibly exist. And in saying so, that is why this video is titled Misplaced Black People. Because Black people, we are everywhere in this world. And unfortunately, the conception of us is pretty much the same worldwide. We are looked down on. We're looked at as flawed, and we're looked at as threats to other race. We are looked at as negative in this world. And I was surprised that digging through the archives of racism in the world, I found how strong racism existed in South America, of all places. Personally, I did not see or identify anyone from South America as white. And when I say South America, I'm referring to countries like Mexico, Argentina, Venezuela, Guyana, Brazil. You get what I'm saying. And I came across an article that was educating me on the racial tension and racial divide in South America, which I was displeased. It was disturbing because, like I say, I didn't see South Americans as white. I see them as mulattoes, and most of them are mulattoes. They are mixed breed black people. That's how I see the Latinos of South America. I never see them as white, but obviously most of them think they're white, and most of them think that they are not black and they are of a superior race to black people. I was disturbed and surprised to learn that South America has a problem with black people being on TV, or black people being in the government. A measly job, like a journalism job, pretty much what I sit up here and do on YouTube. South Americans have a problem with black people of my complexion or darker being news anchor. They even have problems of black people being in politics, and that just, it churned my inside, people. It bothered me. It bothered me to come across another article where there was a carnival in Brazil. There's an annual carnival in Brazil, like most Caribbean countries has annual carnival. And this carnival in Brazil is titled the Globaliza Carnival. And in 2013, Brazil made an historic move with the Globaliza Carnival by crowning a black Brazilian, Nayara Justino. And it was a big mistake, apparently. I'm relaying this information to you, and it still bothers me to hear that in Brazil, that a black young woman was crowned for a measly carnival queen. This has no real power. This is no real world changing. This is about music and dancing and fun and having a good time, a livelihood, living out her youth. So somebody or a few people on the judge panel believes that she was the best dancer and she aced Miss Globaliza Carnival Queen and she should be crowned the queen. And black Brazilian and white Brazilian target her with all kind of racial slur and targeted the organization of the actual carnival, causing the organization to bow to the Brazilian racist people or racist culture, where Nayara Justino had to be uncrowned. She was thrown off her annual, that 1 year throne that she was given. So it was not accepted by the Brazilian people that a dark-skinned woman got to be crowned a carnival queen. Can you believe that? How ridiculous that is. What further disturbed me about racial divide or racism in Brazil was that the culture of Brazilian people have been so brainwashed that they do believe that lighter skin or whiter skin Brazilians are better people. I came across this artwork right here, and the translation of this artwork disturbed me. As a matter of fact, let me bring it up so you guys can see clearer. So what you're seeing here is an apparent white man sitting down, and apparent mulatto female with a white looking baby in her hand. And what you see next is a grandmother who is obviously dark skin, black. And before this portrait was interpreted to me, I kind of came up with my own concept of what the painting is saying, and believe it or not, my concept had nothing to do with the reality of what this painting actually translates to. I was far away from what the artist meant by this painting. And what the artist meant by this painting was that the grandmother, who obviously interbred with a white person created a mulatto daughter. And the mulatto daughter kept the tradition by interbreeding with a white man. And now they have a whiter skin baby. And what the grandmother is actually doing here in this photo is giving thanks to the gods above for ridding her bloodline of her black skin. Disturbing. That is just so disturbing to believe that black people are so brainwashed that we think that this color skin is a curse and we want to be accepted by white people. So we interbreed with white people in order to be accepted. That is disturbing. It was disturbing when I read it, and it is disturbing to me now. You see, blacks worldwide, we have the whole concept wrong, because it's not just in Brazil where black people believe that they are the worst. Not because society that's designed created a map that says blacks are at the bottom and whites are at the top. Not because man says that, meaning that it's nature's reality. I mean, think about it. Think about it clearly. You know, I mean, whites at the top, blacks at the bottom. Does that seem like a correct scale to you? And when I say that, I'm thinking, take it away from even human being and go to a color chart. You can get white from black. You can't get black from white. You can dilute black to white. The only way you can get white to black, you have to enrich white. One is a harder task than the other. It doesn't take much black to change a white color, but it takes a whole lot of white to change a black color. So if that's a fact, if that's a scientific fact, which race should be at the top? Which race should be the hierarchy of the human race, if we're talking about hierarchy? But as disturbing as that was to me, it was not as surprising, because colorism is something that existed among blacks worldwide for almost forever. In 1994 in Rwanda, approximately 800,000 people were killed because of tribal differences, because of their pigmentation. And if you look right here, all of them look alike, except for height. But still, all of them could be brothers and sisters, fathers and uncles, mothers and daughters. They are black people. But because some were lighter than others, some think we should just eradicate this race. Ignorance. Racism to me has always been ignorance. I always think human beings, we're so bored that we believe that we should have a problem with other human beings. I've always said, if everybody were of the same color and have the same face, human beings would still find a way to have a problem with a certain set. Maybe we would have a problem with the way their teeth align. Maybe we would have a problem with maybe how their ears stuck out. And if all human beings were born blind, we would have a problem with maybe how people smell or how people sound. We are bored. The human race who believes that they are the superior race over every animals on this planet would be surprised to find out that we are the dumbest. 100 days in 1994. It took 100 days to kill between 800,000 to 1 million people just because of skin difference. No difference than in Europe, where I presently live. This is the center of the Holocaust. Europe, this is where it happened. In 1941 to 1945, I believe, over 6 million Jews were killed. Over 6 million people were killed. Why? They didn't offend anyone. They were killed because they were born human, and they were born and described to be Jewish. If you put a Jewish person beside any other European whites to me, or a German person, I probably would struggle to tell the difference, because I just see white people. They're white. So I don't get the logic. So then again, that makes a lot of sense, because what I just say is, if all people were born of the same color, they would still find a reason to dislike each other. So there you go. With the German and the Jews, there must be a microscopic difference that the Germans could see in these other white people and say, because they look like this, we should get rid of them. And between 1941 and 1945, over 6 million Jewish people were labored to death and just randomly killed for pleasure. They worked those Jews to death. They worked them to build their own death chambers. They worked them to build their own camps. They robbed them of all of their valuables, and then they murdered them. Before they killed most of these Jews, they worked them to death, giving them just bread and water, till some of them just died. And the reason why they worked them to death is because even up until this day, slavery is one of the most viable economic muscle that man has ever discovered. Slavery. Today it's not called slavery. In some countries it's still slavery. But today, globally, it's not called slavery. It's called cheap labor today. You know, so we are still being enslaved. And because of this enslavement, the economic world will never let go of slavery. So you will always have that prejudicial bias, you know, because in reality, man is chasing the money and everybody wants to be financially rich. But in order to be financially rich, we need muscles. And in most cases, we need brains. So that's where, let's say where I live at the moment. Switzerland. I live in the city part of Switzerland. If racism does exist there, it's not as prominent in the city as it might be in the outback of Switzerland. So in Switzerland, where I live, in Zurich, I would say there is more of a prejudicial tear than there is racism. And when I say a prejudicial tear, what I mean is let's use the labor market, for example. In the labor market, there is the Swiss who comes first, then there's the German, and then there is the Italians, and then there is who they call the Yugoslav. Yugoslavs are people from like Croatia, Serbia. You got people, they're not Yugoslav, but from Poland, Czech Republic. If you put all these people together and put them in a lineup, for me, I just see white people, white European people. Again, the German, the Swiss, they can tell the difference. They can tell the difference that that person is Yugo, or that person is Polish, or that person is Czech, and they're treated differently. And they have the concept. Again, these are white-skinned people I'm talking about. Again, they have a concept that these people should not be in a position of this, or these people should not be in a position of that. Where blacks are concerned, there's not a lot of black people in Switzerland. So I wouldn't say there's a racial divide between blacks and whites. I would just say where the tear is concerned, again, black people, we're at the bottom. So if you're living in Switzerland and you're not educated or bright enough to run your own business, which is allowed, or have something extraordinary to bring to the labor market, you're going to end up being a cleaner. You're going to end up being somebody that's doing the job that nobody wants to do. But take the blacks away from the equation, there's a whole prejudicial tear between Europeans, white people, Swiss, German, Italian, Czech people, Polish people, Serbian people. So there's that tension that's going on there. And I guess it's racism. You could call it racism, you could call it tricks in trade, because like I said, slavery makes economical sense. The cheaper the labor, the more the profit for businesses. And for that reason is why we have machines taking over businesses today, or computers taking over businesses today. I watched a documentary once about a winery. I think it was Dom Perignon. And the question was asked sarcastically, how many people do you think work at the distillery? And I was just guessing, 100, 200, 500. And the answer was one. It was one person that worked in the distillery, for the simple fact that computers and machine was doing everything else. And we had one guy who monitored everything to make sure that there is no mishaps. So for that reason, slavery. Now it's not human, so human, we're slightly being pushed out of the cheap labor and slavery concept, because we've been used. Our intelligence has been raped, and it has been put into a computer that can do what we can do. But initially, we needed not just labor, we needed intelligence. Cotton pickers didn't want just machine, they needed people, black people. We were obviously, still is, and were back then seen as the stronger race. And we were so strong that I could understand why white people did not see us as humans. But instead of them seeing us as superhumans, they see us as animals. There's no human being can be that strong, because we're not that strong and we're white people. So we won't see these dark-skinned lookalikes as humans or superhumans. We rather just say they look more like apes, they look more like monkeys, than say, did we actually come from them? No, y'all don't want to, white people don't want to accept the fact that they are a weaker, lighter version of black people, because that would put black people at the top. So even though I'm not apologizing to any of my white friends or white counterparts for putting them in the corner recently, I decided to put it on this video that my reason was my people, black people, are going through a thing, has been going through a thing for the longest. And if you as a white person is going to continue living your life like that's just the way it is, then we can't be friends. There is something that you as a white person who call yourself a friend of mine can do about it. Don't accept it. Don't put up with it. I have one white friend, I won't name her, but I'll say that I appreciate the story you shared with me, because she works in HR, and a resume came across her desk, and it was a person from Mexico, and she thought that was the best person for the job, and she gave the person the job, only to be scolded by her superiors that she shouldn't have picked that person. Racism or what? Come on now. People, I mean, when is this going to stop? I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. And the reason why I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon, like I say, I just think human beings, we are vain. And we are probably the dumbest creature on this planet. We believe that because we make planes that fly, and we make ships that sail, and we can go to the space and the moon and back, we think we are the brainiest or we're the brightest. Who knows if a mite, the insect, that tiny little insect, who knows if a mite had figured that out all along? Who knows? We are too self-centered, and we're vain. We're a vain creature, human beings. And black people, I'm a little mad with my black people. I'm even mad with Nyara Justino, because Nyara Justino, who was uncrowned from her Globazilla Carnival queen, I'm mad with her. I'm mad with her because she's enriching the culture of Brazil. She's marrying, or has married, to a white guy. And that has annoyed me. Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem with interracial marriages. Love is blind, and people should follow their hearts. If you fall in love, if you're a black man, you fall in love with a Chinese woman, hey, go for it. If you're a black man, you fall in love with a white woman, vice versa, go for it. But when you have a stage or a calling like Nyara Justina, there is stance that you have to take. There's some jobs that's given to us that we didn't choose. And sometimes we wish, you know what, I don't want this job. But guess what? It's yours. And in her case, she went for Miss Globaliza, Carnival Queen. She got crowned. She got dethroned. And that gave her a platform. That gave her her purpose in Brazil. And her purpose in Brazil was to own her blackness, was to make something better of her blackness. But in turn, what she does, she followed the brainwashed traits of Brazil's culture to say, I'm going to dilute this because I don't want my offspring to have to go through this. So instead of us prevailing, we succumb. And we're going to dilute our pigmentation and our race to please the white man. You see, for the longest, I thought it was a white conspiracy to legalize interracial relationship. That was my concept. Initially, I thought, okay, white men didn't understand what they were getting themselves into when they stole us from Africa. And after we came to the lands of the Americas and we start populating, and over a period of time, white men had to come to the reality that we are stronger, we are better at a lot of things. And because of that, and because you can't ship them, because it's going to cost more to ship them back to Africa, what we're going to do is we're going to allow interracial relationship and dilute the black race, weaken it. And that was the concept that I was under until I came across this Brazilian story. It's actually the other way around, because it's black people who's thanking God that their skin is being diluted as the generation turns. So I don't know. I need you guys' input on that. Is it a white conspiracy to weaken the black race? Or is it black people that are hungry and anxious to be like white people? Because I'm on the fence. Because for years I've lived with my first concept until I came across this story. So I was mad at Nyara Justina, just as mad as I am with most black people, black Americans especially, that protest. Here's how I feel about protests. Black people, when white people are racist against us, they're unapologetic. They're aggressive with their racism. They don't try to negotiate or become friends with us. They let us know in their red faces that I don't like black people. I think black people is this and black people is that. And I personally respect that. I would rather to know your true color than you showed me two faces. But black people, you know, we do the peaceful protests, we do the kumbaya, we do the why can't we all just get along thing. When you weigh that up, when you weigh the peaceful protests, the kumbaya, and the why can't we all just get along, it does seem like we are the submissive group of people. It does seem as if we want to solve this thing with peace. It will never happen. And as long as we continue to sing kumbayas and ask for why can't we all just get along, let's unite, it will never happen, because that attitude shows weakness towards black people. We are weak because we're always calling for peace. So your next question is, so what then? What then? I'm not promoting war, but I am promoting an exodus, because what would be the difference if all black people migrated to all black countries of the world? And when I say that, what I mean is, well, let me answer my question first. What would be the difference? There would be a big difference. Black people, we will feel less racism, we will feel less prejudice, and we will have our own financial powers of the world. We'll have our own identity of the world. And what I mean by that is any country around the world that has more than 60% of its population being black people should be black, all black. So what I'm saying is kind of like one of the Idi Amin stance. Let white people go to white people country. Let black people go to black people country and have a rite of passage to those black countries. Africa, arms wide open. Africa is not saying no to black Americans. Speaking of that, one of my subscribers recently reached out to me. She's a black American professional accountant, and she was considering relocating to Jamaica or having dual citizenship between Jamaica and the United States of America. And I thought that was a fair consideration of her because she's black and she lives in a society where she does not feel 100% at home, and she often lives in fear. She should be allowed to go to a country such as Jamaica, which is 95 to 97% black, where she can feel more at home. And she can offer her professional attributes to Jamaica. Why? Because Jamaica is a society still in the making. But to my subscriber, this is to her in particular, I have to say, Jamaica, being a society that's still in the making, has two problems. Problem one is that most of the laws of Jamaica that are still in place today were made by white British men. And two, Jamaica's mentality is mostly influenced by USA, in particularly white United States of America men. So that's problematic. One, Jamaica legislation, its constitution and its laws need to be overall amended where it counts black people as actual human beings. And two, the Jamaican mentality need to be diluted where they love themselves as a people and don't so much want to bow to the white men of around the world, especially in the United States of America. Thank God for technology. Thank God for the internet and platforms like YouTube, where they can actually see what's going on in the United States of America in regards of people of their color. So hopefully that will change. But like I was saying, Africa is wide open. Countries like Ghana is wide open for black people worldwide, especially in the diaspora. But I'm not discouraging you from wanting a citizenship in Jamaica, because at the same time, I would not vote for us giving up Jamaica or the Caribbean countries to white people, because we were brought there and we are the majority there, so it belongs to us. So in no way I'm saying we Jamaicans as well should take a trip to Africa and give up the Blue Caribbean Sea. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is Jamaica needs to adjust its rule where black Americans are equally welcome to join the race of Jamaica. We were misplaced, we were displaced, so a lot of us don't know where we are originated from. And because of that, countries like Jamaica should make room where black Americans who want to have a dual citizenship in Jamaica are welcome to do so. At the moment, what I do know about any Americans, black or white, especially someone in a professional capacity, you can move to Jamaica on a work permit where you are self-employed or employed by any other firm. And through that process, you could acquire permanent residence in Jamaica. And after living in Jamaica permanently for over a period of time, you can apply for citizenship. So that's one way I do know that at the moment an American, black or white, can acquire citizenship in Jamaica. The second way to acquire citizenship in Jamaica is through marriage. You could create your own lineage. You could marry a Jamaican and automatically you have to have permanent resident in Jamaica because your spouse is a Jamaican, and through your permanent residency eventually you can acquire citizenship of Jamaica. So at the moment, that's two ways that I do know, but Jamaica and all the African countries of the world should be wide open to accept black people of any so-called other nationality of white countries around the world. So countries in the Caribbean that are dominated by black skin, Haiti and Jamaica, that's the two most populous countries that blacks dominate. And I would not suggest or indicate that we should give that up, because for one, I love my Jamaica, but at the same time, I love my African people. And because of the recent highlight of racism in the world, it just has brought me closer to my black people. I mean, my white friends here in Switzerland will be walking down the street and a black person will nod to me and I will nod back to him. And my white friends will ask, "Do you know him?" And I would say, "No, I don't know him." Why? We're black people. We know we're the minority here, and we have to acknowledge each other when we see each other. That head bop, that head nod, that says more than hello. That says I see you and you see me. I got you and you got me. And that's what we as black people need to have worldwide. Let us hurt each other. Let us fail each other. Let us get rich together. Let us build nations together. But black people, this is the time when we need to use our wider vision and see what's going on in the world with our black people and stop moaning, because that's what we mostly do. Oh my God, look what's happening over there. Oh, that's how they treat us. Kumbaya, sing along. Please don't be so mean towards us. Please like us. Why? We need to stop kissing butts. You know, it's my channel. I'm trying to keep it PG, but you know what I'm trying to say. People who don't want to see us equal, let us stop forcing people to see us as equal. Let us do what we are capable of doing, people. Anyway, with this subject, I could go on and on and on, as you know, and I don't want to infuriate myself because I'm already annoyed by so many of the information that I've collected over the last couple of days. So I'll just leave it at that for now. Anyway, people, as you know on my channel, I appreciate agreement and disagreement, thumbs up and thumbs down, because at the end of the day, each one teach one. You've reached the end of my video, and that in itself is a support that I truly appreciate. And while I'm at it, I will take this time out to let you guys know other ways that you can support my channel. The first and simplest way that you can support my channel is by giving this video a thumbs up. And the second and most important way that you can support this channel is by hitting that subscribe button and subscribe to my channel and follow me through my YouTube journey. Other ways that you can support my channel is by going to my Teespring online store and buying some of my merch. And another way that you guys can also support this channel is by joining me in Patreon to give me a contribution to support what I do on YouTube and what I do to entertain you guys. Once again, I want to thank you guys for your continuous support and ask that you join me, Ian T. Sebast, on YouTube and see where my journey takes me. Until next time, people. Peace.